All right, so I realized the last time I did this podcast, I accidentally double tapped the record button, which apparently is no bueno for audio. So I want to make sure, yeah, we're recording. We're here, we're back, let's do it. Hey guys, we're back with the India and Stuff podcast, and I'm joining you today from my lovely home office. I have this picture up behind me because this office is like at the back of our house. It's pretty cold and chilly and just kind of feels like old man office vibes that they painted like white paint over the wood walls to try to make it look cool. So I've been hanging up some artwork recently and trying to make it feel more homey and cozy because I want to do most of my work in here and stop spreading out my workspaces all over the house. But welcome. I would love to do like a home tour at some point if I can ever like clean up all the rooms at once, which who knows if that's ever going to happen. But I would love to do a little office tour maybe at the end of this video. If we've got enough daylight, I'll show you around my office a little bit. But yeah, I'm so excited you guys are here. Happy spring, happy Easter. Yesterday was Easter, not yesterday. I'm posting this, okay, so 2 days ago was Easter, so happy Easter to all who celebrate. And if you don't, he is risen, baby. Let's go. But I really hope it was a good weekend for you and that hopefully you had some good time celebrating with your church community or with your family or with your friends. Love it. I love spring. I have to say, I feel like I always used to be like, I'm a Christmas girly. You know, I love Christmas because I was basic. I still am kind of basic. But with my birthday being Christmas Eve, little fun fact if you didn't know, I was born on Christmas Eve, and my mom's birthday is Christmas Eve. It's like that plus Christmas plus all the festivities and New Year's. I feel like I needed something else to my favorite holiday. So for a while I was like, my favorite holiday is Groundhog's Day. Because I was trying to be like different. I'm so quirky and different. But more recently, I was more honest with myself and I was like, you know what? I really feel like my favorite holiday is Easter. At least right now. It's nice when things start to melt and you can kind of like see the sun again. We're heading into the summertime. There's greens and the nature around us is getting a little more saturated with color. It's really, really nice. I love celebrating Jesus, and I love that the holiday is like no pressure about anything other than what it's about. Does that make sense? Like, it's not about what you're gonna buy someone, gifts. It's not about like how much stuff we can squeeze into like the month of December or like for Valentine's Day, like what'd you do for Valentine's Day or what was the gift you gave your person? I like that with Easter, it's just about Easter. If you wanna give someone like a little Easter basket gift or do a little egg hunt, you can, but it's really just about Jesus and like worshiping the Lord and celebrating that he is risen. So I've been really loving Easter recently and thinking a lot about it. So I hope that this was a good holiday for you as well. But anyway, we are here today to chat about acting. So acting, I feel a little unqualified. I'm gonna call myself out. I feel like a little bit of an imposter sharing about acting today because it's not my full-time thing. I'm still fairly new to the professional side of film and TV acting. Very new. I mean, to be honest, I guess if you're thinking of like celebrities, it's like, okay, who is India Jade McHugh? She no one. But when you think about like, hey, I used to just be a kid in musical theater and community theater, and now I've like been in some films. I've been in some movies that are on, you know, streaming platforms, or you can buy them on DVD or whatever. So I do feel like it's been an interesting transition thinking of that, like thinking of younger me being a little theater kid to now being like, yeah, I've been in movies with speaking parts, like not just a background girly. So that's been a lot of fun. So today I want to talk about it. I wanted to share a little bit of my acting journey thus far, some hopes I have for acting. I know I mentioned a little bit in the Oscars episode, I think that's episode 9, about one of my Delulu confessions with acting. But also I just wanted to kind of talk about specifically how I got into acting, my story with it just a little bit, and then how I got cast in my first feature film. And hopefully there are many more to come. I also have a little tea for you today about another film that I was cast in recently. that I'm no longer with. Anyway, would love to share all of that today on this fun episode. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. All right, let's also just burst my humility again, because you're probably like, wow, that makeup's looking pretty nice. Look at my hair right now. Fantastic. Makeup's looking pretty good because I'm gonna shout out Miss Carly Joe. She is a beautician, like cosmetician, not cosmopolitan, cosmetic specialist. She's a makeup artist here in Columbus, Ohio, and she did a little makeup trial for me this morning. I was so honored. She like reached out and was like, hey, like, would you want to sit in my chair so I can practice and use some new things, like practice with this new palette she got? And I was like, oh, are you kidding? So the answer was yes, obviously, and I was really glad that I got to have her work her magic because I just feel really confident. Well, I don't know. Not that you need makeup to feel confident, but I don't know. I really enjoy getting dressed up a little bit more than I used to, and I don't know. I'm still me. I'm still weird under all this, but that's why I look extra cute today, guys, because Carly freaking Joe. So if you're in Columbus and you're looking for a makeup specialist for your wedding or a special event, boom, she is your girl. We had so much fun together. So anyway, now it's time to talk about acting. Acting, being in front of the camera, learning how to do characters and somehow not lose your mind while on set with all these people and all these new rules and this whole different environment. Let's discuss. So, like I mentioned previously, acting is still pretty new for me. I grew up always involved in musical theater. I was homeschooled for a while, and when I was homeschooled, there was like a neighborhood church that would do music camps in the summertime. And so they would have, you know, an opportunity to do like kind of like VBS, but with music. And you could sign up and do like a musical number, and there was like singing and dancing and all that kind of fun stuff. And you'd like tell Bible stories. So I did that from kindergarten on. I remember like going to that every single summer and doing a little production, and I loved it. And then when I went to school, starting in 6th grade, I went to a school in Granville, and it was a small school, so a little bit of like, there probably would have been more opportunities, I think, in musical theater, specifically at a public school or a larger school. But it was a lot of fun. And so when I went there in 6th grade, I remember like petitioning. They were like, should we do a school band or like a musical theater group? And I was like, musical theater. And I like got all these people to like come to the dean and be like, we want musical theater. Or more like, we want musical theater, something like that. It was fun. And so we did it. And I'm really grateful that that was part of my story, because from then on we did, you know, musicals and plays and cabarets and all kinds of fun stuff. And so that kind of started to get me into the world of performing arts, the performing arts, on top of my existing love for fine arts. I've always kind of been like a doodler, someone who loves art in all its forms. So it was a lot of fun to kind of hop into that world in middle school. And then in high school, some of the musicals, I'm trying to think, we did Little Women. I was Amy March, and that was a lot of fun. That was probably like the peak of high school theater for me. Just like the talent that year was so much fun, and it was a blast to do that musical. And then we did Aida a couple years later. Dancer number 2, baby. Let's go. And then senior year we did Narnia, because who knew Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia, was written as a musical? And I was a beaver. Not just any beaver, I was Mrs. Beaver. Boom. But it was so much fun. Like, it was so fun. I literally am so cheesy when it comes to the magic of live theater, because it feels so refreshing. It feels personable. I love watching a Broadway show. I love being in the audience. Like, there is something so special about live entertainment, like live music or performing arts. There's just something so magical about being in the room and just being a part of it as it's happening versus like watching and engaging with cinema, which is funny that I'm mostly trying to talk about film cinema today, film acting. But yeah, it's just so much fun. So I remember specifically senior year was a blast because we got like I said small school. We had 28 graduating class, like a graduating class of 28 people. My words are like not coming together today. But 15 of the seniors, we got into the musical. So we had, it was kind of like a High School Musical moment where we had half the class, like the jocks, the athletes, like people who had never set foot on stage, do the musical with us together. And I just remember being like, yes. And like all of them were like, oh, we should have done this sooner. This was so much fun. I'm like, yeah, you should have. You made fun of me the whole time, but it was a blast. So really glad that happened. And then I hopped into college. And even though I went to an art school, there was no performing arts club or part of art school. There was like no thespian group, no drama club, no glee club. What's the thing from Pitch Perfect? Like the acapellas or whatever, like, excuse me. There was no acapella club, nothing like that. So unfortunately, I was just kind of like, all right, well, that stinks. I guess that's the end of my theater days. Oh, I forgot to mention in high school as well, I did community theater during the summer times at the Sterling Theater in Pataskala. We did Seussical the Musical, Once Upon a Mattress, and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. So anyway, I was always a chorus girl in those ones, by the way. But it was a lot of fun. I feel like that grew my confidence quite a bit. That helped me learn how to sing. Ian and I were just talking the other day about when we got our vibratos. what nerds are we? We were just like, yeah, this is when I got my vibrato. It's like hitting puberty, only nerdier. And less disappointing. Just kidding. But anyway, it was a lot of fun being in theater, and I really, really hope that everyone who is going into middle school and high school takes a shot at doing that. I think it is such a treat to be a part of that. But fast forwarding, because my words are everywhere today, but then I graduate college, right? And I'm like, all right, I guess that's it for my theater time. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do that again, but I always really liked it, and I just like kind of tucked it down in the depths of my heart. And then I meet Ian, and he's a film guy, and he's talking about writing shows and characters and movies and, really wanting to be in that world. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, but like, that's your thing. Like, he did it more seriously. He like moved to LA to do acting and to be in films and all that stuff, and like did that hustle. And so I was like, that's like cool, but like you're serious about it. And I like kind of left it in high school, and I don't know if I ever will get the opportunity to do it again. Like, I don't think there's acting in Ohio. But pretty soon he like proved me wrong. He was like, no, like there's opportunities all the time. Like, let's, write something or let's do something together. So I kind of eased in while we were dating, just being on set with him. We filmed a sizzle reel for something he was working on, and I was just like a PA, which is like a production assistant on the set. So I was like grabbing coffees for people and doing a script supervising role. So I was like making sure that, if someone finishes a scene and their hand's here when they stop talking, that when we pick up the scene, their hand is still here. Like those kind of things, continuity watching and just making sure no lines get dropped and all that stuff. Hold on, gotta stay hydrated. But I had a lot of fun doing that. And then I found myself watching the other actors, say a line, and I'd want to just chime in and be like, oh, what if you tried it like this? Or what if you looked this way when you did that? Or what if this had more emphasis or something? And I was like, that's not my role. I'm not the director. Like, I really shouldn't, jump in like that. But I was like, okay, this is telling me that I still really like acting. And I'm sitting here going, I would say like this, or I feel like this could, be perceived differently if this emotion or this, motion was tied to it. So I was getting a little like, I want to be in front of the camera again. And so that kind of like started me thinking about it. And I think maybe 2 years into marriage, a year into marriage, Ian was like wanting to enter a film competition for a short film. It was like a horror short film competition. And he was like, hey, would you act in it? Would you be the lead? I was like, babe, no. And he was like, no, please. I see it in you. Like, I see this in you. I think you'd be great at this. And I feel like you should consider it. So I was like, all right, like, let's see what we can do. And so he writes this film. And so me and our friend Taylor, who's like a professional actress, who like quit her job to be an actress, was like, yeah, like, let's do it. So we both did it together. It was a lot of fun. And it like rekindled my admiration for it and just my like passion for storytelling in general. And it was a lot of fun. And so we did it, and then we submitted it to the contest, and we ended up winning overall. And then I won for the acting category. So it was like, validating, like, okay, I'm not Delulu entirely. Someone else thinks that I'm decent at this. So that's nice. But all that to share that on that set, I met someone that we kind of sort of knew, like a little bit of a connection, but we had a scene together, and this guy is a professional actor as well, and he played my dad in the short film. And so we have this dialogue where I'm like fighting with him basically and like really frustrated. And so we do the thing, we do a couple takes, and then afterwards he like pulled me to the side. He was like, "How old are you?" And I was like, wait, how old was I at the time? I think I was 24. I was like, I'm 24. And he's like, "Do you think you can play 17? I was like, "You tell me, buddy. I don't know." And so basically this connection, we start chatting and realize that he's one of the producers on a film coming up, and they were looking for someone to play the lead character. So I was like, "Oh, of course, like I'll audition if you guys want me to." So that was kind of how I got pulled into the audition room for my first movie. It's so weird to say my first movie. It's not about me. It's not my movie. But as far as like, yeah, this is how I got cast my first film. This is the story. So anyway, we go into that season, and I had a couple auditions with the producers and the director and the casting coach, or what's it called? The acting coach? Yeah, I think it's an acting coach. And so it was really fun. And I was like, oh my gosh, like if I get this role, that would be insanity. Insanity. Because keep in mind, all of this was happening while I worked a full-time job at a nonprofit, while we lived in Greater Cincinnati area, and while I was running a photography business on the side of my full-time job. So acting was very new. And I was like, this has been a few months since I just jumped into this. I had just done a short film, and then now I'm auditioning for like the lead in a feature with a really big, reach. Like this movie's gonna go places. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. And so the story was about a high school student who's a ginger. And obviously I was not a high school student, and I was not a ginger. And so eventually they end up finding someone who matched the character description much, much better, because it was based off of a real life girl. And so I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, go with that person. Fantastic. But they were like, we'd still like to offer you a role as the best friend to the lead. And I was like, ooh. Honestly, guys, one of my favorite like roles that I would love to play is just like the sassy best friend. Like in any rom-com, you got the lead girl and she's all cute and whatever, and she's on her love journey. I want to be the sassy wine drinking bestie. I want to be the girl that's out there just like, yeah, like, I don't know, like the Liza Koshy in Players, or in real life. I love her so much. Just like the funny side character. That's my jam. Like, I want to be like the older sister on Disney Channel shows. Like, that would be so fun. So anyway, they offered me this part, and I was like, heck yes. So it was a lot of fun, and I got cast in this movie with some, big name talent in it. And the filming took place in 2022, the summer of 2022 in Corydon, Indiana. It was through a really awesome ministry. It's a church that also does film. They really feel like creating faith-centric films is part of their mission field. And so they do that, and it's so cool. So we go out there. We stayed with a member of the congregation, which was so awesome. Her name's Linda. Shout out, Linda. And it was such a treat. So I had never been, cast in a movie. I had no idea what to expect. I was super nervous about being there, and, I didn't have a ton of lines or dialogue, but I'm like, am I gonna forget my lines? Like, what's this gonna be like? So we roll up the first day and, drop off our stuff at Linda's house. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do this. And the first scene that I was supposed to be in was this big softball scene at like the outside. Is it called a diamond? Oh, I don't know. At the diamond, I think. And we get there, they put me in the hair and makeup chair, they're doing my hair and makeup, I get in a costume, and then it starts downpouring. So right off the bat, I was like, no. But also I'm really kind of glad because it just, I think, calmed my nerves in a weird way. I was like, oh, okay, like I was so nervous just to be here, but now I'm here and I'm talking with people and we're gonna have to postpone this. So it's all good anyway. But it was interesting to like start off that way, but I'm kind of glad because I think it took the pressure off. I could just like talk with other people and the other like co-stars and talent and stuff and just kind of get to know everybody before like jumping into a scene. So that was kind of the start. I think I was on set we were there for about 2 weeks, but I only had like 5 days on set. But we stayed with Linda in that area for a while. And then Ian, obviously my husband, is in film. So when the director found that out, they were like, would you mind helping with crew? And so they gave him a couple of crew jobs to help out with as well. So it was great to do together. It was really an awesome opportunity to be my first time in a movie with my husband on set. It just feels so much like safer and just like cozier because you have your person with you. So that was kind of that. Filming was a lot of fun. It was just, I don't know, it's just always fun, especially with people that you are in the same community with. So like, for example, I'm a Christian and this was like a Christian production. And I want to be gentle with those words because I kind of have like I have certain stances about calling things like Christian movie. I'm like, did that movie get born again? Did that movie give its life to Jesus? Is that movie going to heaven? No. But I understand that word, like Christian, can also be a descriptor and just being like, oh, like we want this to be Christ-centric, or we want everyone to be, you know, kind of making this for the gospel purpose of we want to spread, you know, the gospel and what Jesus's message is. But I don't know. Those are my 2 cents on when people say, I'm starting a Christian business. I'm like, you are? So your business knows Jesus as its Lord and Savior? That's cute. Like, that's interesting. Tell me more about how your business was born again. But that's my little sassy comment for the day. But all that said, it was nice to be on set with fellow Jesus followers and to kind of make something going like, this is bigger than us. This is bigger than us just like having a silly little, you know, I don't know, silly little movie making time. It's like, this is about making a film that we really believe in and that has a really strong message about finding faith and deciding that your mistakes are not there to punish you and that you can move forward and that there's grace on grace when you're walking with the Lord. And so the movie was called I Can. It is actually available, I think, on Apple and Amazon. Yeah, you can stream it on Apple and Amazon. You can also buy it on DVD. If you want to purchase it on Amazon, you can stream it on YouTube. It had a theater premiere. Y'all, like, I was in theaters. Oh, what? It had a theater premiere around the country at some different theaters, which was really cool. We got to see it at my home theater, like the theater I went to as a kid growing up, which was just, I don't know, just like cute little moment. I was thinking about being like a chorus girly back in middle school. Like my first role on theater at my high school was as a cat that just purred and did some flips. And now I'm like, I'm in a movie that was in theaters. So it was just a fun opportunity. And I just kept feeling like my inner child was like, this is so cool. So to any little middle school or high school girlies out there getting bullied for being in the theater group or singing too much in the hallway, you never freaking know. Just keep doing your thing. Like, it just felt really fun to be a part of. So anyway, watch the I Can movie. It is the, story of a real life athlete named Caitlin Pavey. She was born with one arm, and her parents kind of wrestle with their decisions and try to find this path forward, understanding God's grace and redemption on top of their daughter having some, physical differences and trying to navigate being an athlete. So it's such a cool story. It was so fun to be a part of, and real life Caitlin is the coolest. She is so freaking cool. And also, guys, okay, so it's a softball movie. I did not know. I'm not a sports girly. You can tell. I'm not really. I did gymnastics for a long time as a kid, but that's it. I'm not sports. I know sports. But I don't know anything about softball. And so they were like, yeah, you're going to be one of our best friends. You'll be on the softball team. So you'll like, we'll play some plays and you'll just run and slide. And I'm like, what? Excuse me, come again? What? So thankfully the real Caitlin was there and was able to help me out. She was really sweet about it. She was like, here, run this way, like slide on this leg and like do this thing. So that was good because I was like, ooh, like they had actual extras there that were a softball playing girls. And I'm like, I'm an actor. I don't do that. I don't understand. I'm down to learn at any moment, but where's outfield? Like, I don't know. So that was kind of interesting, but it was a lot of fun. So go watch the I Can movie. But yeah, as far as just the whole thing, like how it all happened, was being on set with my husband's short film, right? So like being on set, another talent saw my performance and was like, hey, let me tap into that. Would you like to audition for this other thing? And I think it's just a cool lesson in you never frickin' know who's watching. You never know who's in the room. You never know what your first impression's gonna be on someone. And I think, this is true for everything I've done in my life, for photography, for my graphic design, experience, my time in college, as a just human, as an actor, you never know. And I think every time you just go into a new scenario, whether that's a networking event or to your next class or to your job, you never know. Just like be thinking about what the Lord could have for you, not in a schemy sense of like, I wonder if anyone's gonna recognize me or notice me or I'm gonna be found or whatever. Not in that way at all, but just to be like, Lord, what do you have for this day? What do you have for me today? What's next? What's now? How do I love the person in front of me? And I think just by showing up and serving God first and then others in the way that you conduct yourself, in those places and giving it your all. Like for me in that example, I was on set with people in my front yard. We were filming that short film at my home and it was uncomfortable, but I was like, I want to like perform well for my first time in a short film. And so I was like tapping into an uncomfortable zone to try to commit to the character. And by doing so, this gentleman was like, oh, awesome. Let me like have you audition for this thing I'm producing. So cool. So you just never know, guys. You never know when your next client or connection or best friend is going to come out of something. So always be expectant and ask for the Lord to bless your steps. Oh, now this is turning into like a sermon. Interesting. But anyway, thanks for listening. That's kind of my story of how I got cast in my first movie. I hope there are more coming. We are in a second one. Oh, this is fun. I think I mentioned this. My husband got nominated for Best Lead Actor at the International Christian Faith and Film Festival, biggest Christian festival in the world, and he got nominated for a film we were in called Grief Share. I have a very small role in it. He's like one of the main characters. Like what? So he is nominated for that award. He goes down to Orlando, I think in like 3 weeks to see if he wins or just, meet the other people and all that fun stuff. So be praying for that, which is just so fun. But yes, that aside, I audition pretty frequently, probably once or twice a week for different things that I'm interested in. I'm signed with an agency, blah, blah, blah. But we did just get cast in a film recently, and unfortunately, my husband has a bunch of client stuff coming in and out, and we just couldn't commit. So we got cast as these leads in this cool movie that was gonna try to get to Hallmark, and we had to unfortunately back out of it because Ian could not commit the time, and the director was like, we have to have a real couple because I'm really conservative and I don't want anyone to have to kiss who's not married. And so I was like, okay, well, we're married and we can act, but unfortunately we had to not do that one anymore. But hopefully there are more in the pipeline, and if there's not, that's okay too, because acting just feels so different than everything else I've tried, in the sense that I'm not trying to profit off of it. Like if I get cast in something and get paid, that's awesome. It's happened a few times and I'm like, sweet, that's great. But you know, there's such a long road if that's ever going to be your full-time job. And I'm not Delulu in that sense that like this will ever be my full-time job, but I always want to be just pushing myself to be creative in different ways and to take a step into those spaces that might feel more uncomfortable. But yeah, anywho, this has been this episode of India and Stuff, the nonstop, lots of talk show about me and my wild life. But hopefully this goes with our tagline, behind the scenes, in-betweens, and all the other stuff. This is a peek behind the scenes. If you saw me post that on TikTok that I was in a film, or on my Instagram and you were like, what the heck, how'd that happen? Now you know. And I wanted to do this episode as well because this is the 1-year anniversary of the red carpet for that film, which is crazy. I cannot believe time is going this fast. Does anyone else feel like since COVID started, like time is like on double or triple speed? Like I'm still kind of baffled. It's been a weird ride. It's been almost 5 years since I graduated college. What? Honestly, what? I feel like I'm 22. I feel like I'm permanently 22 and I'm 27 years old. What? Okay, I'm gonna need a minute. I'm having an existential crisis. Wow. Anyway, I have to go deal with my emotions now, but that's the story of how I got started in acting. Go watch I Can. It's awesome. I'll link it in the show notes for you to stream or purchase on Amazon, and then you can have a DVD with my face in it. That's fun. Thanks for listening. Love you guys. Happy April. Bye.